guys, so let's look at number 10. Something kind of simple. Okay. Now the first thing we're going to do, not a lot of notes with it, but there's a couple things you're going to have to know in order to understand this stuff at all. Okay. First thing, guys, this is function notation. It is a fancy way of writing what variable. If you got w of x, f of x, in a nutshell, what does that really mean? What letter's usually here? Y, right? That's the fancy way of writing y, okay? Now, guys, with this stuff, the what's between the fancy bracket and a comma here, before the comma separates it, this is your function, okay? These two are your functions, okay? After the comma, and guys, they will always be written this way. It won't ever be reversed, okay? After the comma, you have what you call your domain, okay? Now, guys, domain, going all the way back, probably 7th, 8th grade, domain is a math way of saying what variable, domain, another name for domain is what? Something real simple. Domain is nothing but your x values, okay? All right? Remember, domain's x values, range is y values, okay? Another way to put it, guys, is, we'll write it up here, okay? We're not going to do number 8 yet, but I'm going to build off what we're talking about down here. Guys, if you remember these two things in everyday terms, this part is what you graph, okay? This is what you graph. This is where you graph it, okay? This is what you graph. This is where you graph it. And guys, if it doesn't tell you to, it tells you exactly where to graph it. Do not graph it anywhere else except where it tells you to. All right? Guys, most of the time when we did a function for up till now, guys, this is the first time in your, as far as I know in math, that you've seen what this is what they call a it's called a restricted domain. It's telling you where to graph it. Okay? You can't just get on there and start graphing something. Okay? It's going to tell you exactly when to start and when to stop. All right. So let's look at this. So remember, guys, this is what we're graphing. This is where we're graphing. Okay? Now, so guys, it says what it wants us to graph is the line y equals negative x plus 1. So our first thing we're going to graph is y equals negative x plus 1. Okay, remember, guys, w of x is just y. The other thing it wants you to graph is y equals negative x minus 3. That's the two things it wants you to graph. So you're going to have two functions on here. Okay? All right? Now, guys, write this down somewhere where you'll have it to refer back to. If you have a greater than or less than without the equal to, it's going to be an open circle. Okay? So if it's greater than or less than without the equal to, it's just an open circle. Okay? If you have greater than equal to or less than equal to, you're going to have a closed circle. That's all you need to know about that. Okay? And they also tell you which way to graph. Guys, the only thing difference here is if one's got a line underneath and one doesn't. If it's got the line underneath it, it needs to be colored in. All right? guys, an open circle like this, we won't really get into that, but the open circle means what in math term undefined. Okay, open circle means undefined. Okay, so guys, to make this a little bit easier, what I'm going to do is, once y'all are y'all good with Desmos or y'all better with the TI-84? It doesn't matter to me. TI-84, okay. All right, it's basically the same thing, but like I said, it's Desmos is a little bit user friendly, I guess. All right. So what you're going to do, guys, is you're going to put your first function in your calculator, which is negative x plus 1. And you're going to graph it. Okay? Now, guys, notice, we're not just going to graph negative x plus 1 like we normally do because it's got a restricted domain. What it wants you to do, your function is negative x plus 1 when x values are less than or equal to negative 2. Okay? Now, so what you're going to do is you're going to graph it where it tells you to. All right? Now, so guys, x values less than or equal to negative 2. Now, guys, if x values are less than negative 2, is my line going to be going to the left or to the right if it's less than negative 2? Less than is always to the left, right? Greater than is always to the right. Guys, remember, this stuff is going all the way back probably to kindergarten, first grade. If you go left on the number line, numbers get smaller. If you go right on the number line, the numbers get bigger. Okay? So guys, what you're going to do is you're going to go look for this number in your table. Okay? So what we're going to do is go second graph, and we're going to find negative 2 in the table. Now, when I find negative 2 in the table, the y value is positive 3. We're going to go plot that point. Negative 2, positive 3. So negative 2, positive 3. Now, is this correct the way I graphed this? Is that right? What's wrong with it, Nick? It's open. It needs to be closed, right? How do I know it's going to be closed? Look at that right there. Guys, remember, if it's equal to, it's closed. Guys, these are the little things that will mess you up and make you miss a question, honestly. It's just they want to be nitpicky about stuff. All right, now, so guys, do I care about any values less or greater than negative 2? Do I care about that in this particular problem, according to my domain? So x value is less than negative 2. Do I care about anything bigger than negative 2? Nope. All I care about is numbers smaller than that. Okay. So negative 3, 4. Negative 4, 5. Negative 5, 6. Negative 6, 7. All right. Guys, make sure you put an arrow on the end. That's your first piece. All right. Now, so guys, as a recap, put this in y equals. We went and found this number in the table in the x column, and since its x value is less than, we graphed numbers less than -2, that's what our line looks like. Okay, guys, notice this is a segment. It's actually a ray. It has an end point here, and it has a arrow on the end, so that is a ray. That goes that way. Okay, it stops here. Now, that's that part. Now, it says y is equal to -x minus 3 when x values are greater than -2. All right, so what I'm going to do, go back to y equals, clear that out, and I'm going to put this in my calculator. We're going to put this right here in my calculator. All right. All right. Now, is this line going to be graphing to the right or to the left? Going solely by your inequality. Is it going to go to the right or to the left? To the right, right? Because its x value is greater than -2. Remember, if it's greater than, all you care about is going to the right. Okay, so what I'm going to do, go back to my table, and I'm going to go find -2 in my x column. Now, since I'm going x values greater than -2, all I care about is values that are greater than -2. Okay, so -2, -1. And guys, that's going to be an open circle because notice that that is not an equal to sign, so it is going to be an open circle. Okay. All right. Then -1, -2. 0, -3. 1, -4. 2, -5. 3, -6. 4, -7. 5, -8. That's how you graph a piecewise, folks. So, guys, if you have 2 pieces, you'll have 2 functions on your graph. If you have 3 pieces, you'll have, like this guy over here, you'll have 3 pieces on your graph. The main thing you need to look for on a piecewise graph is that your pieces do not overlap. Okay? These should not overlap. Like this shouldn't be over here somewhere. Okay? These do not need to overlap. Okay? Now, let me show you another thing they may ask you. Now, guys, my variable here is W. Okay? So what if it had this? You guys think about it. This is my function notation, right? This is an x value. This is your x value because, guys, look. Where the x is, I put a -10. What if it asks you W of -10? What it's asking you is, what is the y value when x is -10? Now, first of all, guys, you got to look up here and see which domain this fits in. Does it fit in x values less than -2 or x values greater than -2? What do y'all think? Top or bottom? Now, if x is -10, is it less than -2 or greater than -2? The top, right? Because -10 is less than -2. So what you're going to do, guys, is this. Once you establish which domain it fits into, you're going to plug that x value into that function. Now, guys, notice what I did here. My function is -x plus 1. I had to put my negative out there, and then I put a negative in parentheses. -10 plus 1. Now, negative times a negative is what? A positive. 10 plus 1? 11. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for this number right here. All right. What if they ask you, what if they ask you W of 20? What does this number right here represent? Come on, guys, you gotta talk to me. X value, right? Now, I gotta find out which domain this fits into. Does it fit into X values less than -2 or X values greater than -2? Top or bottom? Bottom. So what you're going to do, guys, you're going to plug it into this function. Okay? Now, guys, remember your function is if I plug that 20 in there, that's the number they're looking for. Okay? You just plug it in. Now, I'm going to ask you one more thing, guys, just to drive a point home. And then, what if it asks you W of -2? What do you notice about when X is -2? What do you notice about it? How many dots do you have? 2 dots, right? When X is -2, it's got 2 dots there. Well, guys, remember, in math, what does that open circle mean? Undefined, right? Now, so guys, if you have an open circle and a closed circle on the same value, you always choose the closed circle. So guys, when X is -2, Y is what? 3. Because guys, what's this coordinate point right here? -2 what? -2, 3. That's why. So guys, basically, you can't choose the undefined number. This number is undefined. All right. Okay. Guys, this is going back to the last unit. What kind of function is this? What do those little bars mean? What was that, Bianca? Yeah, what does that mean? Absolute value, right? Remember, if you have these bars, remember that last unit when we did absolute value equations, remember this? Remember we did that? That was last unit. That's absolute value, okay? Now, so guys, notice that you have a 3-piece piecewise function this time. You got 3 pieces, okay? 1, 2, 3. All right. You got 3 different domains, okay? Now, so guys, we're gonna graph this top one first. Let me move this out of the way. All right, we're going to use Desmos this time. All right. Okay, so guys want to use Desmos, so we're going to do all right, so let's see where our absolute value is. Function, miscellaneous. Nope. There it is right there. All right, guys, so we're going to use we're going to do our fraction bar. X divided by 2. There is our first function, okay? Now, guys, looking at our paper, we're going to graph x absolute value of x divided by 2 when x values are less than -2. Okay, so now I don't care about any x value that's greater than -2. It's only less than -2. Okay, so now if I go to -2, maybe that's not. Let's see. All right, guys, when x is -2, y is 1. Okay, so when x is -2, y is 1. When x is -3, it's 1.5. When x is 2, oh, -4. -4. Y is 2. All right, guys, so basically we're going to have one that looks kind of like this. There's our absolute value function. Guys, how did I know to graph left and not right? How did I know? It's an open circle. How did I know to graph left and not right? What y'all think? That sign right there. Okay. The reason I know to graph left and not right because I know when x values are less than that number, I'm gonna have to be going to the left. Okay. Because guys, remember, less than is always left. Greater than is always right. Okay. Now, our second function is y equals 2. Now, guys, anybody remember when you have y equals a number, what kind of line that is from Math 1? If you have y equals a number, that is a horizontal line. Okay, that's a horizontal line. Now, what it's going to do, guys, it's a horizontal line that goes through 2 on the y-axis. Okay, now, so guys, here's positive 2 on the y-axis. There's positive 2 on the y-axis. All right, now, my domain is from -2 to +3. Now, guys, is this going to be a closed circle or open circle referring to this sign right here? Closed. So I'm going to go, now y equals 2 is here, okay? So I'm going to do this a closed circle. All right. Now, guys, this is going to be a horizontal line. So what I would do is look for my this end of my domain and go over here. Is that going to be a closed or open circle at 3? If it's not equal to, it's open, right? Go over here to 3. Make you an open circle. Guys, because remember, y equals 2 is a horizontal line that goes through 2 on the y-axis. That's how I know where to put my dot. Because y equals 2 would be here. Okay? All right. Last but not least, y equals negative x plus 1 when x values are greater than or equal to 3. First of all, guys, on this function, am I going to graph to the right or to the left? According to this sign. Is that greater than or less than? Greater than is always to which direction? Right. Okay, so now, put that in our calculator. So negative x plus 1. Guys, now we're going to start when x is 3. So 1, 2, 3. When x is 3, y is negative 2. When x is 4, y is negative 3. When x is 5, y is negative 4. That's your piecewise function. Okay? But guys, just let me make sure you understand this real quick. If they ask you h of 0, what would you write down? Well, first of all, guys, this is an x value, right? You need to find out which domain it fits into. Does the domain fit in the first, second, or third domain? Second, right? 0 is between negative 2 and 3, right? Guys, everybody understand that? 0 is between negative 2 and positive 3. So, guys, when x is 0, if it's just a number like this, you just write that number down. Because, guys, if you think about it, if you go back to your graph, when x is 0, that's the y-axis. What y value does that function go through? 2, right? When x is 0, y is 2. How many people are struggling? How you struggling, Heather? Are you good? Okay. Guys, let's do this to break up the monotony a little bit. Y'all do number 1. Do number 1, see what you can get. Now, guys, let me make this big again. All right. And guys, we'll come back together and do it. I just want to break it up a little bit, okay? Now, remember, if it's less than, you graph left. If it's greater than, you graph right, okay? And guys, your 3 functions here is y equals 0, y equals negative 6, and y equals negative x. That's your three functions. Okay? Now, guys, if you think, now remember, if it's y equals 0, that's a horizontal line. Guys, y equals 0 is the same as the x-axis. Y equals 0 is the x-axis. Okay? Y equals negative 6, that will be down here. Okay? And y equals negative x, guys, you can put that in your calculator. That is a parent function with a negative slope. Okay? Y equals negative x. That'll be going down like this. All right. See what you can do with it in this. Just try this. Just to see how far you can get with it. All right. And then we'll come back together.